to Mav Sports Take. We're episode 63 here live on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. We are Unmuzzled Sports Talk, focusing on the business side of sports, a lot of what you hear about and a whole lot that you also do not. And who better to bring you this news? Not myself. I'm talking about Brian Roberts, Rise and Draft, RiseandDraft.com. Go check it out. I'm talking about Mr. David Turner, who's been around, to say the least, 18-year scouting vet, NFL, CFL, and 3 straight Arena League championships with the Arizona Rattlers. Has held many positions from area scout to Blesto to director of player personnel, assistant GM. He's done everything in the business, as well as now the owner of Maverick Sports Consulting. Make sure to check out mavericksportsconsulting.com. David, we are going to be talking. Well, first, we're going to be taking some mailbag questions tonight. We're going to mix things up a little bit. But then we're going to be talking a little trades, potential trades, a lot of Desean Watson rumors that are coming by the wire right before we got on here, 8:30 Eastern time tonight. But as I do every single podcast, it is now the 63rd time I've asked you this. How are you?
I am good. I am doing well. Back to it, back on the grind, trying to get everybody, lined up, get ready for the big push for the draft coming up. I know there's a lot of agents that are curious about if the players they're recruiting are actually going to get drafted. I know there's a lot of players that are curious if they're going to get drafted. So, like you and I were talking earlier, we're trying to put together, some good packages for everybody to make sure all the answers are there for them before they just launch into, this uncertain time between, as we know, Thanksgiving till May. And what really happens is, the HBCUs and some of the smaller colleges start wrapping up around Thanksgiving. And then, boom, here we go into bowl season and everything else. And then before you know it, the NFL draft and combine and everything else hits. So, we're trying to make sure all our customers, all our clients are taken care of before we get down the road too far.
Yep, and me and David did spend some time on a Zoom call talking about the consulting side and being able to work with some agents and make sure that they are investing their money right. Tonight, we're going to be talking mailbag questions, like I kind of said before, and we're going to be talking about some of the rumors around the NFL. Before we do, Maverick Sports Consulting doesn't just do consulting. Would you be a parent of a high school athlete trying to make it to the next level? If you answered yes, then why not secure coaching from an expert? Here at Maverick Sports Consulting, we work with high school athletes of all sports to create a strategy for their recruiting process. With limited scholarships given each and every year, having a pointed recruitment plan helps our clients secure their opportunity to play collegiate sports. We focus on your transcripts, your film, your leadership, and more to set your goals and create pathways to get to them. Whether you're looking to attend an SEC school or Slippery Rock University, we can support your efforts to get to those goals for 2022. Contact us today at mavericksportsconsulting.com. So like I said, David, we are a live podcast, which means we are very interactive here. We invite people every week for some mailbag segments, at least most weeks. And we got a really nice turnout for mailbag questions for the week. So we thought we're going to shake it up a little bit. Usually we talk about our topics for the day. We do a little break, and then the last segment is the mailbag. But we decided we got so many great questions, and we really appreciate everybody out there. You should like, share, subscribe, and rate this podcast right now if you haven't already, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. So to give back to the folks, we decided to do some mailbag questions for the week. So David, I think one spot that I want to start with, and we got a lot of good ones, like I said, Jesse Fritsch, good friend of the show. You know Jesse?
It's good. Oh, yeah.
Friend. Good friend of the show. Good friend of the show. And he wants to know, going back to David's time on the road as an area scout, what was David's fast food place of choice on the road? And you can give me a couple, David, because I know this. I know there's going to be some probably similar fast food places that we enjoy. But also, I mean, out west, I know you guys have like In-N-Out Burger and all that good stuff. Like, I don't have that here. So I would love to hear a couple of the West Coast favorites, fast food places.
Oh, man. I tried to avoid the fast food as much as possible on the road because it's such an easy trap to fall into, and gaining weight is so easy especially when you're on the West Coast scouting, because you'll have an 8 or a 9 hour trip, and it's like, man, you eat some fast food middle of the day and all of a sudden you want to take that nap and you're behind the wheel.
Or a
and
pit stop somewhere else, maybe too. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You might got the gurgles going, and you need to stop and take care of that in an unsavory bathroom. So, I really try to avoid it, but when I gave into the cravings, I often was a Burger King guy.
Okay.
I would pull over, get a Whopper with cheese, enjoy some onion rings. I'm not really keen on their fries. McDonald's has much better fries, but I would do that. Or if there was happened to be like if there was a larger city and there wasn't just like a little truck, some of the best diner food actually is on the interstate. You pull over and hit a diner, somewhere, and you're like, dude, this is delicious, and you're good. And that's what I try to do a lot. I would try to or talk to a concierge before I left and be like, hey, between here and Albuquerque, what's the best giant diner to stop? And there's in the Navajo Nation, like there's this nice little diner actually that serves authentic Navajo food. So I'd stop there. It's about 4 hours in, and I would stop there and eat. There's a couple other ones that were, between here and Vegas and stuff that I would stop and eat. So, I always try to stop at local joints if I could plan it out and map it out a little bit. But if I couldn't, and it was just like a pullover, truck stop type thing, often I would wait until I found a Burger King.
So I need to ask about this Navajo food for a second. Is that like a lot of green chili? Is that the Navajo customs? I think I heard
No,
it right there. No, am I completely wrong there? Okay, I'm gonna
no.
need it.
No,
Don't
there's some stuff, but like authentic Navajo taco is really delicious.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they have an authentic Navajo taco. It's on a flat piece of like fried bread almost, but it was like
Sounds
really
good.
puffy and delicious. And almost resembled a tostada a little bit more than a taco,
Okay.
but they're really big, and again, the way they season the meat and everything is a lot different. So that was good. Or they had different dishes. I can't remember now. It's been a few years. I wasn't expecting that question,
I'm
Jesse, but
sorry. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I wish I could have looked it up, because then I would have been like, oh yeah, there was this diner and that diner, and I could plug them right now. But there was just places that had authentic, like, foods along the way. And out here on the West Coast, I mean, there's a lot of, Spanish and Mexican food, little Mexican joints, little taquerias that you would dip into, and that, would be, conducive to that town, and be really good tacos or really good burritos and morning breakfast stuff. I found Snooze. I mean, Snooze is kind of a chain out here now on the West Coast. But the first time I found it, a buddy that worked for the Broncos told me about it in Denver. I had never heard of it before, and it was like a yuppie diner almost. And so I pulled in there and had one of the best breakfasts I ever had at a Snooze right before I got on the road and head down to Pueblo. I had to ride down to Pueblo that day. So, I mean, it was awesome. It was great food. Now there's Snoozes over here by my house, and there's a lot in Arizona. So, I'll stop by and be able to get a chance to stop in there, and but the first time I ever ate was in Denver, Colorado, based off the recommendation of one of my buddies who works for the Broncos.
I know this question was asking obviously about your direct experience with fast food on the road, but I'm going to give my stuff too, because why not? I haven't been in areas.
Jesse really didn't care about your stuff though.
He didn't care, but I'm going to give my 2 cents either way, because that's how that works. So I will say,
Jersey boy, there,
out there, man, just putting it out there.
If you're not eating Five Guys, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Well, okay, so I don't really eat fast food anymore, because when Ryan does eat a lot of fast food, he gets quite fat. So he stopped doing that so much. Five Guys is delicious, though. I
love Five Guys. When I was working in Connecticut, introduced to Five Guys, hooked. Their fries, their burgers, so good.
It's so good, man, because it's so nice too. Because like, why would you ever get a large fry? You get a small fry and they still fill the bag. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Five Guys is very good. I love the grease. I don't care. It's fantastic. It's delicious. It's a good burger. I wasn't a big McDonald's fan, honestly. You know what?
How do you stack your burger though at Five Guys? Go back. How do you stack your burger? Because you can customize it so many ways. What's your customization at Five Guys?
I mean, I haven't been to a Five Guys in a while, but I mean, I would always just get. I think it was like the 3 patties, right? Because they were smaller patties, and then you just get cheese on it, like in the middle of each patty, right? Like you get a slice.
Well, no, you get 2 patties.
Yeah, I think you get 3. I might be wrong about that, but
I was there the other day.
Oh, okay.
I was there the other day. You get 2 patties and cheese, but then I get the sauteed mushrooms.
I'm not a mushroom guy.
Oh my God.
No.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I don't like things
I don't even know you right now.
I like things with good texture, and
oh, you're terrible. Good mushroom is so delicious.
Nah.
So I get the sauteed mushrooms, get a little ketchup.
I can get some like crispy onions. I could dig that. Nah, mushrooms though. No thanks.
Oh, definitely. The mushrooms make the burger so good.
Oh no. I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh yeah.
I on my honeymoon, I did try a mushroom risotto, and the mushrooms were like eatable in that because it kind of mushrooms just take on the flavor of most things, but I just don't really like the texture. It's not the taste. I don't know, just not my thing.
That's like me and cottage cheese. I can't eat cottage cheese.
Yeah, I don't do cottage cheese either. Honestly, I honestly like. I'm a little bit of a picky eater sometimes. Not like
sometimes. Sounds like you're a picky eater all the time.
Nah, man. I used to be way worse when I was younger. I'm actually I'm getting a lot better in that department. But I was just gonna say, McDonald's is solid. Like I was never a big McDonald's fan. Burger King's solid. Like I kind of like booked those together, to be honest. One spot that was like really close to my house that we always used to frequent a lot was Wendy's. I liked Wendy's a ton. And then I don't know, is Chick-fil-A out west? I don't even know if
we got Chick-fil-A. It just started coming out. Chick-fil-A I always ate when I was at the Combine, Indianapolis, because they had one downtown. So I could go to Chick-fil-A all the time. And then we eventually got them out here. Right now in Arizona, we got a lot of stuff. That because we get a lot of Midwesterners, we do have some East Coasters out here. So it's like every chain in the world is out here. It just depends on like what locations, but we have a bunch of them. But Chick-fil-A's out here. I love Chick-fil-A. My daughter and I go there all the time. Casey and I go to Chick-fil-A all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I used to not like when I was younger, I wasn't a huge waffle fry guy, honestly. But like, man, I am a huge waffle fry guy now. And the waffle fries there are fantastic. I think Friendly's had good waffle fries too. I'm just like reliving my childhood.
I'm not a Friendly's guy. I've tried it like 3 times. We got them out here. I've tried it on the road because there's a couple turnoffs where all they had was a Friendly, so I would be hungry and try it.
Yeah.
Every time I was disappointed in Friendly's.
I'm telling you, they used to have a buffalo chicken melt, which was on like sourdough, I think, which was really good. And then they had the waffle fries, and then you get ice cream for dessert. So I mean,
I was at a truck stop in the middle of freaking Kansas. Middle of freaking Kansas.
Were you chasing storms?
Huh?
Were you chasing storms or? Oh, okay.
No, I was out there. I was at Fort Hays. It was when I was scouting Nate Shepard.
Yeah.
And freaking, I was driving back. No, I was driving to Fort Hays from Denver. And there was a truck stop. I pulled over. It was just that time of day. I was starving. I pulled over and I had the best meatloaf in the world. Like the fluffiest freaking mashed potatoes. It was like unbelievable. I was sitting there like, I was like, God, what smells good? And I saw her I saw them bringing stuff out. And I was just like, man, what's that guy just got? And she's like, oh, that's our meatloaf. Everybody loves our meatloaf. I was like, serve it up. And I'm talking like a big Midwestern plate now. Big Midwestern plate. Oh, I was so happy after that. I smoked the biggest cigar on the road. I got a cup of coffee to go. I was so happy. It was so good.
Dude, that's another thing that's grown on me as I got older. I'm a big fan of meatloaf now. Like I think when I was like growing up, I was like, it's fine. But I make a good meatloaf, to be honest. I love the spicy ketchup sauce thing or whatever that you put on top, dude. It's so good. It's fantastic.
I don't do spicy. I just do regular tomato. I do regular tomatoes. I do like Italian style tomatoes on top.
What, like pureed or like?
No, like diced.
Oh, diced tomato. Wow, really? You know what's good with diced tomatoes? I was talking about this the other day because we were playing this game where like it was you had to kind of pick the best pizza toppings or something like that. And I remember when I used to coach high school ball, my first couple years, the one time, and I thought this was weird at first. It was we would do our game planning on Monday nights, and we would order pizza and all that type of stuff. And it was a white pie with diced tomatoes on the pie, and it was really good. Just to throw that quick one out there. Big pizza guy, so throw it out there. McDonald's, meh, they're fine. Burger
The
King,
best at
meh,
McDonald's is their
fine.
breakfast. I'll be honest. The best at
It
McDonald's
was
is the
good.
breakfast.
It was good back in the day. It was good. The pancakes and sausage, all that good stuff. Yeah. I used to like I used to like Burger King's breakfast too when I was really young. We used to stop there all the time, and I would get like the French toast and all that stuff. It was pretty good. It wasn't too bad.
I got a gal on TikTok telling me that Jersey pizza is the best pizza.
She's not wrong. New York's pretty good too, but like the tri-state area, I feel like is just solid pizza.
I think Connecticut's a sleeper on pizza. Connecticut's got some good pizza.
They're like an extension, you know. So it's like they're a little above the tri-state, but like they still count. They still count. Yeah, I'm more of a see. Like, all right, here's a good question. I know we're taking a lot of time on food here. Who cares though? It's our show. So are you a thin crust, traditional crust? Are you a deep dish guy? Like, what's your pizza preference?
No, I like, if I'm picking one, it's a New York style. I really like the New York style pizza. Once I started eating it, obviously when I was working out there,
Yeah,
I fell in love with that style of pizza and everything. She says the Lorenzo's,
Di Lorenzo's. Yeah,
Di Lorenzo's is,
Yeah.
she's like, I promise. I'm like, I don't even know Di Lorenzo's, but whatever. He says it's good. You say it's good. Okay. But no, I mean, there's this place out by my son out in Howard Beach.
Yeah.
It's called Gino's Pizzeria.
Okay.
Okay. They got every style you want. They got what's called grandma slices, which is old school Sicilian style.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, their toppings are amazing. Everything's fresh. If you're in the New York area and you're out by Howard Beach, go to Gino's. I mean, anybody can direct you to Gino's. It's like the best pizza on the block right down there.
I'll give you 3 spots. Ready? Three different things. 3 different info on pizza for a second. We always used to get because my mom is full Italian, so that side is the Italian side, right? Like we don't call it sauce, we call it gravy. That's like what they are, right? Kashi's Bakery here in New Jersey. I have not had it in a very long time, but if we're talking about Sicilian style pizza, fantastic. Go to Kashi's Bakery. There's a quick plug for Kashi's. Maybe they should sponsor the podcast next time.
Send a pizza. That's all they need. We'll be fine.
All right. So then, if people are familiar with Pennsylvania for a second, I used to have an uncle that used to live in Manayunk, which is like a little bit of an outskirt of Philadelphia. It's a little further down. I think it's northeast. I don't know. Anyway, so Manayunk are famous for their tomato pies. Okay, tomato pies, which is fantastic. It's again Sicilian style. Just tomato on, the tomato sauce or whatever, and then they just sprinkle a little bit of cheese. Very good. And then my last thing is Taconelli's pizza here.
Do they put a little onion on it? Do they put a little cheese and onion?
No, not usually. I'm sure they could crush a little onion or a little garlic. They definitely put a little garlic.
No, the best one is when they crush the tomato pie when they crush a little bit of the green onion in it.
Oh no, they definitely don't do that.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
All right, that's on the to-do list then. I'll write that down on my imaginary notebook here. And then the last thing, I'm sorry, Taconelli's Pizza. So I went to school with a kid named Vince Taconelli, whose family owns this, and they are in Maple Shade, New Jersey, but I think they actually have another spot now. They're kind of expanding a little bit. Fantastic pizza, man. Wasn't a big fan of Vince Taconelli, but the pizza. It's fantastic.
Why you got to slam Vince? I mean, what did he do to you?
I didn't go into detail.
What did he do to you? What did Vince do to you? Did he steal your job or something?
Nothing really, man. He was just kind of, it just didn't mesh. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
it
wasn't like a traumatic experience or anything. It was just like, just not a good match.
Did he stuff you in a locker? Be honest. Did he stuff you in a locker?
No, he's actually much smaller than me, so it's impossible that he ever stuck me in.
I'm shorter than you. Doesn't mean I can't stuff you in a locker.
You can't stuff me in a locker. You can't.
This guy. Listen to this guy.
I'm just telling you that you can't. Anyway, so Taconelli's Pizza, they have this spicy marinara, and it is fantastic. I'm a big spice guy. I guess you're not a big spice guy. But
I don't do the spicy like you. I know you do. You like the spicy stuff. I don't do the spicy stuff.
I do. We just spent so we started. It's 19 minutes in now, and we covered one of these questions. So let's get on to a different question, David. I like that conversation. That was fantastic. Going to that at that _sports_guy, Craig Forstall, who's a really nice guy, by the way. I've been on his podcast a couple of times. said, when watching a college quarterback that's a high-level, top-notch athlete, what are you looking for when thinking about them at other positions? And how do you know which can make position switches and which ones cannot? That's a good question, David. That's a very interesting question. So obviously our minds are going to the Julian Edelmans of the world. We're thinking about maybe the Brad Smiths, who was a very good quarterback at Missouri. Obviously was a dual threat kid and eventually turned into a more of a special teams player, but played some wide receiver, obviously, for the Jets and a couple other teams. I think the Bills. Anyway, so we're talking about position switches, guys that maybe, were college. Well, not maybe. Guys that were college quarterbacks that either switched to wide receiver, running back. I remember when Eric Crouch was coming out in Nebraska, the St. Louis Rams at the time drafted him, I think, in the 3rd round to try to make him play safety. And then he decided that he didn't want to do that. And so they wasted a 3rd round pick. For you, David, just kind of with your experience, looking at guys that you are projecting like great, like really good. They're an NFL caliber athlete playing the quarterback position, but they're not a true quarterback. What are you looking for when seeing if a guy can make that switch and whether they can or they can't?
Oh, it depends on where you're trying to project them. Honest answer. So if you're trying to project them, say a quarterback to a receiver,
yeah,
I did this a few years back with a New Mexico quarterback, and I was watching him as he ran the ball, as they gave him quarterback runs, as he did some things, and I visualized him catching the ball and then running after the catch, and then going, does that look like a receiver that I would want on my team running after the catch?
Right.
Okay. So I was like, is that going to be a guy that I can really be like, ooh, running after the catch, this guy makes people miss. He can be a difference maker, something like that. You have to really kind of switch your mindset, your opticals, and think of them as a receiver or as an athlete, and if they can do that part about the run after the catch, because you're obviously not going to see the catch while they're in college, beforehand, before practice, if you're there or what have you, you can walk up and ask them to catch a few balls, or watch him just play catch with the receivers, and if he's catching his own, then you're like, okay, you can see him, with natural hands or not. But it's very difficult because, like, you remember when Lamar was coming out, a lot of people were saying he couldn't play quarterback. He might as well just be receiver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, and people kept going and going on that. It's difficult. It's not, I mean, you want to talk about, it's hard to just break down players when you're looking for elite athletes at a certain level, right? Mm-hmm. When you're breaking down a player to project them somewhere else, at a different spot, it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, when we talk about an outside corner in college playing nickel, that's so similar, but you still miss a lot on that. You have like certain linebackers that you say can get a little bigger and play a big nickel. But again, you miss on those. Quarterback changes are very difficult to project and predict. Like Willie Brown back in the day was a running back at Grambling, and then he switched to be one of the all-time best press corners and Hall of Famers the Raiders had, right? So, I mean, that is a little different. Rich Gannon, I want to say he went to Delaware and he was playing safety, and then he came in the NFL and he was a quarterback. So, you see it, but you just have to really be patient with those guys and watch them develop. If you force the issue too much, it's just not going to work. And like with the Rams taking Crouch in the 3rd round, I mean, they should have had the conversation with the kid long before they took a 3rd round pick.
Right. Did they not talk to him about that? That might be a conversation, or did someone touch base with them? That was a weird one. I know they were talking about a couple years ago, and Trace McSorley, now at the Baltimore Ravens as a backup quarterback, was coming out of Penn State. I think someone actually at the combine asked him to work out with the safeties one day as well, and he declined that. So obviously he put a quick clamp on that. For you, David, do you feel like it's, and I honestly would love to hear the answer to this question. Do you feel like it's hard for from your perspective to stand on the table for a guy that's that type of a transitional player that you don't have a tangible actually understanding of them playing, or are you still, firmly standing on the table for just a next level athlete? Like, is it hard for you to stand a table for a guy that's going to make that type of switch?
Say Shaq Thompson, right?
Yeah.
Shaq played running back. He played linebacker. He
Safety.
did kick return, and he's Mr. Everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And got a guy like Shaq, no, because you're just like, I don't care what position this guy plays, he's always going to be successful. So you can get on a table for him, okay?
Yeah.
Because some people I remember when he was coming out was like, well, what is he? Is he going to be a running back? Is he going to be? It's just like, dude, he's going to be a linebacker. It is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
And then you had guys like DJ Williams that his freshman year in college, he was a fullback. And then he, at Miami, they needed a fullback, so he flipped over, played fullback, because in high school he played running back and linebacker. And then he flipped back over and played linebacker, and
He's
ultimately,
fantastic.
yeah, fantastic athlete and whatever. So when you have a fantastic athlete like that, and a versatile athlete, you can literally take it and run with it and go with it and get on the table for them. Plus, you got to know their character, know their dedication to the position, all that stuff. Now, if you have somebody who's meh, just kind of average at best, or average at the one position, like say he's a quarterback and he's average, he's not explosive, he's not this, he's not that. Yeah, you're not going to get on table for that guy. You're just going to be like, if we need a guy, here's a guy. And, your argument's kind of more, if we're stuck in the 6th round and we're looking for this, I would not like this guy. The argument's different. There's less conviction in your voice. There's less passion for drafting a guy. But that also comes down to who's good for your locker room, who's good in the culture, who's going to be that guy. You know what I mean? So for me, I have a hard time with position switches at high level picks.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're a phenomenal person, phenomenal athlete, very little injury history, that all meshes and matches, I can go on a table for a guy like a Ronald Curry, quarterback, right?
Yep.
And then he comes to the Oakland Raiders at the time, phenomenal athlete, absolutely probably the best route runner we had on the team, and we had Randy Moss and Jerry Porter on the team. But Ronald Curry, with his basketball background, his stop and start and change of direction, if he didn't tear his Achilles, that guy was freaking unbelievable. Like, he could make people miss. You talk about making people miss in short area, close quarters.
Yeah.
Whoo, he used to make people look stupid, just dumb. and then he tore his Achilles twice, and I was like, that sucks. I know he's a receiver coach or something in one of the teams now, which
I think so. Yeah.
It's fantastic because he's a wonderful human being and an incredible athlete when he was playing.
Yeah, I think I was watching a game either last week or the week before, and I heard his name, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I didn't know Ronald Curry was coaching, so that is really cool. I think back to Craig's question. I think one thing you got to watch a player, and you just got to be like, that's a next level athlete, right? To start out with, like, that's kind of the baseline. But then it's like, how does he win as an athlete? I think for some guys, it's like pretty obvious. Like like Jerick McKinnon was an option quarterback at Georgia Southern, the running back, right? Like, you watched him though, and he had a dense frame, and he had a powerful lower half, and he ran with a ton of violence and a ton of power. That guy transitions to running back, obviously. You look at a guy like a Randall Cobb, who ran the wild Cobb and was more like a gadget type player. You're like, he wins more with short area quickness and be able to manipulate space. Talk about, when Julian Edelman was a quarterback for Kent State, same thing. He was winning with pure athleticism. He wasn't the powerful runner that you were like, oh, maybe he's a running back. Maybe he's that type of guy. Because I know that they talked about like Malcolm Perry when he was coming out of Navy, who was a record-setting quarterback at Navy. Like, he had played some, slot back, their motion guy in Navy at points. But for the most part, he was an option quarterback. And I know there was a heavy debate. It's like, is he a running back? He took some reps at the Senior Bowl at both running back and wide receiver. He was a guy also had some tackle breaking ability, but like for the most part, he was making guys miss in the open field. Like, he wasn't a pure power guy. So he has made the transition fully to a slot receiver. I think he's still in the Miami Dolphins. Don't quote me if I'm wrong there. So I think it really just depends about, how a guy wins. We have to be able to you have to be able to quantify, first and foremost, is he an NFL athlete? Can he play NFL football? Is he that type of player? And then how does he win? See how he wins. It's all about how guys win. That's how they make the transition, whether you're talking about a position switch or not. How translatable is the way a guy wins to playing at the next level? So great question from Craig. I really enjoyed that one, to say to put it firmly into the atmosphere firmly. So here we go. A couple other questions. Fantastic questions, by the way, really. We had Carrie Anderson at Jakari Anderson 3, who asked, I think this one is more directed towards me. He said, do you think journalism is a bad way to go major-wise if I'm trying to get into the same field as you? And it was on my post, so I'm assuming that he's talking about me. So it's a great question.
Talking about you being a teacher?
Well, yes, it would be a bad idea to be a journalism major if you want to be a teacher. Absolutely. If you're talking about trying to get into the media fields, sports media, and I actually answered Carrie earlier because he actually did DM me and I didn't see until after he posted this question. So kind of what I told him is, like, for me, I don't think that there's one route that is the best route here. I think that it is individualized. I started as a journalism major, and then I ended up just getting a BS bullshit. I can say bullshit because it's my podcast, a bullshit English degree, which didn't make any sense, but I was too far in and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I had a teacher that was like, he literally took a hat, David, and he was like, write down your major and put it in a hat, right? And then we all put it in our hats. And he started picking them out. He's like, what's the one major where, like, you have no idea, like you're undecided? What is it? It's called, you know what I'm talking about? A major. It's like a general type of degree. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you head nod to me or shake your head that you have no idea what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Undeclared. I know people get into school undeclared.
It's not undeclared. I wish my wife was sitting here. She would know. But okay, so there's one that he took that out of the house. He's like,
trust us. We wish your wife was sitting there too versus you.
Shut up, dude. Shut up. Anyway, so there was that one. God, why are you like this right now? Why are you like this? I'm trying to have a serious conversation to carry one of our loyal listeners, and you are ruining this moment.
I am not ruining the moment. Get to your point.
I'm trying to get to the point.
You're taking the long road.
I'm trying to get to the point. You just keep talking. Stop talking.
Nobody wants to hear the long road. Reader's Digest version.
Fine, we'll move on. Carry on. Sorry. Anyway, there is okay, so he started taking names, majors out of the hat. He eventually got to journalism. He said, you're not going to make any money, and threw it down onto the thing. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to make any money. And at that point, I was an impressionable 18-year-old, 19-year-old. I'm like, I need to switch my major. So anyway, I ended up with a stupider. I don't know. Anyway, I'm more dumb. Dumber's a word. Okay, dumber. Oh my God, I am tripping over myself right now. A dumber degree.
We all noticed.
I ended up getting an English degree. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do for the next few years of my life. I ended up going back to school to get my special education certificate to go back for education. So all that to say is that I am now in this field, also still teaching, but I'm in this field, and I did not end up with a journalism degree, and I did not end up with a degree that made any sense to be in the industry that I am right now, talking about the sports media side of everything. So I do not think that it is a necessity for you to have a journalism degree. Backgrounds, it's a little different. You take some classes, you can mix it in with your major. I think a sports management degree would be an interesting one for getting into sports media. I think journalism would help. I think that all of them could work together, but the long and short of it is to say that I don't think it's a necessity. I think you carve your own path and then you make it work, is what I think. So there's that. Shut up, David. Moving on to the next question. We're talking Miami Dolphins. I don't know how much you've seen. I know you've seen at least one of these guys, David. So they said, if you're the Miami Dolphins, are you drafting Chris Olave or from Ohio State, wide receiver, or Drake London, wide receiver from USC? And do you think either of them can make it to the second round? David, have you watched Olave? Wondering if you have any thoughts on Olave.
I know I like Olave a lot, and I watch London too. Obviously, being out here on the West Coast, so I know both these players really well. I would draft Chris Olave, but I don't think he makes it to the second round. London maybe, because I don't think London's going to run the 4-4. I think London's going to hit a 4.52, 4.55. Olave's got a shot at hitting a 4.48, 4.47. I really do. I've watched him run some patterns deep, and I think he's got a little bit of build-up speed. He doesn't have that instantaneous jump on you type explosion off the line, but he builds it up a little bit. And I'm like, I think he'll surprise some people once he trains and he gets to the combine. I think he gets the 4.4, and at his size and catching ability and acrobatic ability to catch and track the ball, I think Olave goes first round. London would be the one I think falls to the second round. If one of those, if he's asked me which one of those two is, I would say London would be the one who falls the second round. If I'm the Dolphins, though, I'm drafting offensive line in my first 3 picks because their offensive line is awful. And as we're seeing, look at what's going on with Kansas City Chiefs. They lost both their tackles, right? And now Patrick Mahomes can't sit back there and pluck people apart. One interception's come from inside the pocket, the rest have come from outside for him. So until you protect your quarterback, it really doesn't matter who you're throwing to. I mean, people can point to the Bengals all day long. I still think they should have taken, the Penei Sewell, and then they could have picked up other receivers. Chase is amazing. He's amazing. But like Ryan stated, he was a luxury pick for a team that really doesn't have luxuries, because your quarterback keeps getting abused. So, how many hits is he going to take in a 17-game season? I mean, Jamar Chase is amazing to watch. Don't get me wrong. I love watching him. But at the same point, guys, you got to protect your quarterback. Like,
David, I would say one thing. Sorry to cut you off. Man, I was so right about Jamar Chase. There was this big thing for like several months because he was an opt-out guy. They're like, oh, he doesn't play well against press. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. My guys, he has over 800 yards in his first 7 games. Just want to throw that out there. You can finish. Sorry.
No, I don't like guys who opted out. You know that.
I know that.
I was on that train too, but I like Chase when I broke his film down, as you know. I like Chase a lot. I thought he was a fantastic talent. Yes. I was just like at the spot, at the pick. That's where my problem was, right? I know we got to move on to the next stuff, but for me, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm literally looking hard in offensive lineman, drafting offensive lineman, getting young talent, because Ryan made the statement before we went on the air. They really don't have – they might have one guy that's young that they can build around. The rest of their offensive line is horrible. It's awful. So if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, I would hope that there's good offensive linemen in this draft so they can go get 1 or 2 of them early and build with them. Because the Niners did that when they were on their championship runs. They had Staley at 1 tackle. I want to say they had Deuce, Latui, and Brown. All 3 of them were first-round picks. And then they wound up having a solid offensive line for like 5 years, right? Or something like that. So that's what you would hope to do, is get a couple good offensive linemen, build around them, and protect your quarterback, and then draft the kid, the skill stuff in the second and the third, 4th round.
Yeah, I would agree as far as I don't think that wide receiver in the second round would be a fantastic selection for the Dolphins, considering what the state of the offensive line is. I would agree 100% on that. When comparing Olave to London, David, I'm actually the complete opposite here. I will tell you this, man. I watched London this past week against Notre Dame. I was so hesitant on him in the summer because I'm like, I just didn't see a ton of separation. And I'm like, he's a big body guy. And we've gotten fooled by some of these guys recently that have been the pure contested catch guys. I have a comparison for Drake London. First of all, I'm fully in. I just put this on Twitter actually earlier. It's funny that this question came up. I am all the way in on Drake London, man. He reminds me of Brandon Marshall. I really like Drake London. First of all, he has a wide receiver. He has a basketball background, and that pops up. The dude can jump through the roof. Like it is easy to see that. And he does all the things that you would consider, the catch point receivers. He can win above the rim. He can stack with his length. He's not a true burner. I agree with you. 4.52 to 4.55 sounds about right. I would agree with you on that. But the thing that I think really separates him, man, is he plays with absurd physicality. Absurd. Yards after catch, super physical, competitive all over the football field, wins on multiple levels of the field. I think that this might be Brandon Marshall. I really do. I was hesitant on him. I think London's going to be a top 20 pick. That is my claim here. I think he's going to go top 20. Just remember I said it. We can revisit this in April, but I think that he's going to go very high. Olave, on the other hand, is a guy that I think is as solid as you're going to get from a wide receiver. Number 2 option, number 3 option in offense in a passing game. I think that he is rock solid for the next 8 to 10 years. Like, I think that he's going to be a 800 to maybe 1,000-yard receiver most years. I also do think there's some limitations to him. I don't think that there's play strength. I think that he has a wiry frame that I don't think has a ton of strength to it. I think that he's a really good route runner. I don't think he has any ability to win above the rim. I don't think that he's a great contested catch guy. I think he's a very good secondary option. I do not see a number 1 option there, but I think that London can be. So I actually think that Chris Olave is the guy that is more likely to fall to the second, because I think that he is going to get overshadowed in what is another good wide receiver class. We got Garrett Wilson in Ohio State himself that might overshadow him a little bit, playing with Olave. You got Treylon Burks from Arkansas. I think there's guys that have better traits that are going to kind of rise a little bit to the top of the class. But also, I think Olave is a rock-solid player in the second round. So there's my call.
Mark it. We're opposite.
We're opposite on that one. We are 41-14 into the episode 63. Mark it down if you're watching today. Last question, and we're going to get into some Desean Watson talk. Here we go. Lee Wakefield at Wakefield 90. He is, I believe, a Los Angeles Chargers fan. He said, if you're Tom Telesco, who is your ideal, realistic first-round selection in the 2022 NFL Draft? So I'll write off a couple names, David. I think that just understanding the positions that I think that are on the table for LA. First of all, you have your quarterback for the foreseeable future. You have a good stable of running backs. Your wide receivers are good to go. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, all those dudes. I think that you lost Hunter Henry this offseason, so like tight end, maybe. I think that Rashawn Slater is actually playing very well at left tackle so far, and their offense line is very improved. Corey Linsley at center. But I think right tackle is a spot that definitely could be upgraded. Defensively, I mean, defensive tackle is probably a spot. Linebacker's decent, but I think corner, defensive tackle, tight end, and right tackle are my biggest needs for the LA Chargers. Is there one that I'm missing, or do you mostly agree with me?
No, I think for me, I would pick I'm looking at the draft right now. I don't know if there's a right tackle first rounder. I don't know if there's a tight end that's a first rounder.
No, I would say that there's definitely not a tight end.
So I would zone in on cornerback or pass rusher, being honest, because you got Joey, right? But opposite side, or a linebacker that's a good blitzer, or maybe a inside rush guy that can get upfield and get in quarterbacks' faces. Yeah. But just someone to help out Bosa a little bit more and get more pressure on the quarterback, or corner, which will buy him more time to get to the quarterback. I think when I watched them this year, I think they need a little bit more heat on the quarterback. And that can come from giving them more time by having a better corner cover, or it can go the other way, which is finding someone who could flash in there faster to go opposite side of Joey Bosa.
Well, the good news is if you need a pass rusher, if you need an edge defender in this class, it's a good one to have. So a lot of
these guys are going to be picking, more than likely they're going to be picking somewhere around 20 to 30.
And that's fine. There is depth in this class. There is some depth. Maybe Adam Anderson from Georgia. There's some stand-up rushers that I think are really talented in this class. Maybe someone falls to you. Like, there's a lot of dudes in this class. I think 20 to 30, you could still get a quality potential high-volume sack guy, because the edge class this year is stupid, man. Whether you are a base 4-man front, you're a base 3-man front, you need a stand-up rusher, you need a hand in the dirt traditional 4-3 defensive end, there is a guy for you in this class. If that's the way you're going, I think cornerback for me is probably one that I think is underrated because I know Asante Samuel Jr. has been playing pretty well as a rookie, but you have Chris Harris who's been playing a lot more inside. I think another outside corner to really finish off that secondary is a really good spot. And I think tight end, a secondary option, probably second, third rounds. Right tackle, though, was actually one that I gave them in a mock draft recently just because the board actually felt pretty well for them to get a right tackle in that range. A little more of a developmental guy, but I think he's got some upside. And I think to finish off, find your bookends for Herbert, your franchise quarterback, obviously, I think is never a bad thing. So
I think I'd go corner first round, though, or pass rusher.
That's
and then second round, focus in on the right tackle. Because what I've seen this year, I don't see a right tackle that I'm like, ooh, like this is a guy.
Yeah, it's not a great offensive tackle class, in my opinion, in general. I think there's two guys at the top that are pretty good, and I think that it kind of tapers off. So I agree with you. I mean, if somehow Evan Neal from Alabama falls all the way down there, then hey, then we got a right tackle for the next whatever many years. But I would agree with you. I think that especially if you're talking defensive end, you were talking about pass rushers, I think it's a great class for that. Want to thank everybody that gave us those questions. For the last 10, 15 minutes, we want to talk about Desean Watson and the continued drama that is surrounding his potential departure from Houston. Before we do, have you secured any sponsorships with your name, image, and likeness yet? No. What's keeping you from earning money or gaining products today? Probably access to companies. Maverick Sports Consulting can connect those dots for you. We believe in the power of athletes making a living off of their likeness while going to college. If it's simply that you don't have access to companies, don't let that keep you from being successful. Contact us at Maverick Sports Consulting so we can help you navigate your path to gaining corporate sponsorships for your collegiate career. An athlete's earning potential is limited. Why wait until tomorrow to start earning today? It doesn't matter what sport you play. We help all our clients achieve their goals. Just contact us at Maverick Sports Consulting. TikTok, the clock is ticking. So I want to talk about Desean Watson for the last segment of the day. David, of course, we were talking about this earlier. We're like, all right, let's talk about some trade candidates. Let's talk about Desean Watson. And then, of course, right before we get on here again on a Tuesday, 10/26/2020, October 26th, Desean Watson news again. Apparently, there is a deal in place to go to Miami, but it is not going to be finalized until they are A-okay with the off-the-field stuff. So, David, let's just kind of dive into the recent news. For me, I'm looking at this news and I'm just saying it's not going to happen. Like, you're telling me that you need to check off this major issue where there's 20 plus lawsuits against him, were multiple women about sexual harassment, and you're telling me that, as soon as we get past that, then we have a deal in place. Not going to happen. I think there's zero chance that this happens with the Miami Dolphins.
Well, the biggest thing is it's not just sexual harassment, it's sexual assault in some of the cases. It's not just sexual harassment. It's not like he said something inappropriate. There was actual assault.
Yes.
And this is what gets me. We sit here and we talk about if he's going to get traded, they got to sign this off. Why is he not on the commissioner's exempt list right now? And the reason that Adam Schefter and all the talking heads are saying why he's not on the commissioner's exempt list is because he's not arrested. Okay. That's the big thing. Like, these are all lawsuits, but he's not arrested and he's not accused of a violent crime. Now that to me is interesting because a sexual assault, and again, I get what the essence is they're talking about. He's not been arrested or anything for like domestic violence or hitting a woman or physically like I wouldn't say that, but he's not like, there was no like trip to the hospital, right? Like, what happened here were sexual favors that were, I would say coerced and out of the young ladies is what he's being accused of.
Right.
And that's assault. That's still an assault. And so when the word assault's applied, I don't understand how the commissioner can keep him off his exempt list, because that is a violence. Violence is assault. So when you're assaulting someone, that is violent. You don't just again, if I spit on you, that's an assault.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely an assault. So what he did is he coerced these young ladies to do sexual favors for him or sexual acts, compensated them for him, but at the same point, it's an assault. It's a sexual assault. If he were to be charged, a sexual assault would be a charge in the list of charges. Now, how that all is going to play out, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't really. I think it's a murky water, anyways. Like, I really don't understand all of it, with the lawyer being connected to the ownership of the Texans and all these young ladies coming out at once. And it was when Desean was trying to get traded, and now that was going to be not get traded. Like, I really don't know. And it's been lingering forever to get, all figured out. I just really, it's so weird to me. This whole situation is weird to me. It's been weird from the beginning.
Yeah, it's really weird that it's just like coming out like this. Like it's just kind of being thrown into the public like this. Like, oh, there's a stipulation, but like it's in place. Like I don't know. It just seems like a very misinformed and I mean,
Well, it's a damage control before the trade. They're trying to see if the Miami crowd
yeah,
will tolerate it, or in the next 24 or 48 hours, if there's a large outcry, that the women's groups and stuff in Miami come out and say, no, we're not good with this. We don't want Desean here. We don't want, this guy who's been accused of all these sexual assaults to be in our clubhouse. Now,
right,
if they don't raise a stink and people are like, yeah, okay, whatever, he's not charged, and the dialogue down there becomes lighter
right,
and easier, then they can say, oh, we can make the trade, and look, we won't get killed too much down here. Cool. But if they do raise a stink and everybody goes down there and starts hooping and hollering and causing problems, or causing concerns, or voicing, I should say, their concerns is a better way to put it, then they'll be like, oh, sorry, we can't trade for him, because they're going to have to give up multiple first round picks for him, and just to get him down there. So it's not like you're giving up just a two. Like, if
mm-hmm,
I'm giving up a second rounder and getting Desean Watson and that's all I'm giving up, I could care less what the crowd says.
right,
Because when he starts winning football games for me, and I still keep my first round picks and add around him, they're going to be forgiving. And that's just the way sports are. Wins equal forgiveness. It just happens that way. Someone was talking about the LSU situation where, people were talking about Coach O throwing stuff at people and yelling at people and whatever. And he's all, when you're winning, all that stuff goes away. But when you're losing, it comes to light. Right. Same thing in this situation. When you're winning, a lot of stuff goes away. But when you're losing, a lot of stuff comes to light. I don't say it's right. I don't say it's wrong. I'm saying that this is the way it is. Putting out there, you guys as the audience can judge how you feel about it. But we're just bringing the business of football to you. And in the business world, that's how it works. When you're winning, a lot of stuff gets overlooked and passed over. When you're losing, it comes to light. And in this situation, Desean Jackson was complaining about the coaching search. He was complaining about wanting to be traded. He was, he was puffing his chest out and showing some dominance. And now all this came to light. It's fishy. It's fishy, because honestly, they knew about it beforehand.
yeah,
People had to be keeping it quiet beforehand. But then when he started getting up and saying, I'm out of here, I want to trade, I don't like, and he was being mouthy and he was being in the press and putting it out there, then all this came out. Fishy,
yeah.
fishy, fishy.
Yeah, there's something that just doesn't sit right. Now, all I'll say about this, man, is the due process, right? I'm not going, but like, man, there's a lot of women that came out in this situation. There's a lot of suits that are pending here. I'm not going to just pass complete judgment here. All I'm saying is I would be very surprised if Desean Watson was found innocent of all these charges. All right. And I think Miami Dolphins included, everybody included, if an organization is just okay to gamble their image on this player, and I understand that he's a great football player, trust me, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL to watch when he plays football, just strictly on the football field. But right now, you cannot, until it is over, and if he comes out like clean in this situation, until that happens, he is not a good image for your football team. I don't think sacrificing the integrity of your organization is worth playing a couple football games. I don't think it is. Long term, maybe it works out. But the short term is the possibility is still that he plays a couple football games and then he is found guilty of these charges. And then there's a sentence that is going to be passed down from the league. And there's going to be suspensions handed out. There's going to be all these types of things. And that could tarnish not only your reputation and your image as an organization, but also you may have given up multiple first-round picks to do so just because you got desperate at the quarterback position and you wanted a superstar. I understand wanting a superstar. I don't think this is the time, and I don't think this is the player right now. I understand it, but I don't. I would be very surprised if a team made this decision right now. Off season, when things are less murky, I could see it. Right now, I don't think he's getting traded. I really don't.
I think it's very. It's very hard for him to get traded because the markets that are talking about him, Carolina, Miami, the Jets, all train wreck organizations, all organizations that again, I should say Carolina's a train wreck, but what they're showing lately, they went and traded for Sam Darnold, and they gave him an extension. Now Sam came out 3-0 hot. They were all excited this last week, and he got benched in the fourth quarter. So. What is he doing? What's the decision making in that group looking like right now? And now you go and trade for Desean Watson. Will he be an immediate impact? Yes. Will he fit that offense? Yes. But again, I think this was mismanaged by the Houston Texans from the beginning because they had to know this stuff was going. Instead of them letting it get out, they should have traded him. It was right after the Matthew Stafford trade. I said
they missed trade the window. They missed the window, man.
Because that would have set the bar really high. They could have got multiple first-round picks, second-round picks. They probably could have got 6 or 7 picks for this guy, or 5 picks and 2 players. Like it could have been a massive, massive, massive trade. And then let things come to light once he was on the other side over at the other place and let them deal with it. But no, it was mismanaged from the beginning. So you know what? It's just awful that they waited and again they were trying to ask for too much back then. When you got a player like this, get him out of your building, move on with your career. And like I said back then, they could have traded Jacksonville. I know it's in the division, but gave Deshaun to Jacksonville. They could have got Trevor Lawrence to their building, Golden Boy to their building, made the fans happy. Deshaun would have came in angry a couple times a year to play him, but at the same point, build the team around the new Golden Boy and Trevor Lawrence.
And if they did that, he may not have come back to Houston upset because he may not be playing still. Who knows what's going to happen? Either way, we're going to be following closely. We're going to be following closely with the trade deadline coming up of potential trades. Obviously, Zach Ertz just went from Philly to Arizona. He just went from 2-5 Philly to 7-0, 6-0, whatever they are. I think 7-0,
7-0 Cards now, and he scored a touchdown his first game.
And he did, and he's been struggling with the Eagles over the last couple of years too. Because I mean, it was just dysfunctional, and I don't think he really wanted to be there. But either way, had a nice first game with the Arizona Cardinals, so feel good about that for Zach Ertz to get out of what is a dumpster fire over the last couple of years. Let's call it what it is for the Philadelphia Eagles. But we'll be diving more into that over the next couple of weeks. As far as some other topics, we have some great interviews that are also lined up already. Look forward to unveiling all this stuff and unveiling the new thing that me and David are working on from the consulting side. I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to give David the final word here in a second. I would just like to ask you for my final word. Like, share, subscribe, rate, support the podcast, continue to let it grow. We have great plans for this show, and I know we've had a lot of great support in the past, so I do really appreciate you all so much, and we would appreciate that continued support. David Turner, final words of the night, my friend. What do you want to leave us with?
Final words tonight is, you know what? I'm seeing a lot of negativity. Knock it off. A lot of people are being negative with other people. A lot of people are drawing lines with other people. Knock it off. Like, let's just figure it out, come together and start to enjoy life. I mean, and stop putting the negative out there. It might get you 1,000 likes or something, but at the same point, you're putting the negative out into the world. Start promoting the positive and what's going on in the world. Start promoting the positivity of things. Like tonight, we spent 20 minutes talking about pizza. All right. We spent 20 minutes talking about pizza. Enjoy those conversations. Enjoy those times with your family. Enjoy with the holidays coming up. We're under a month from Thanksgiving. Plan accordingly. Be flexible. Be considerate of everybody, and really start getting into the holiday season in spirit inside your heart and your soul, because right now I'm seeing a lot of negativity, and it's coming out in the last 3-4 weeks even more so, and it's really starting to drive me nuts, because I want everybody to just enjoy life, enjoy football, enjoy pizza, and enjoy each other. So that's my final thought: is knock it off, find the positive in your life, promote that, and keep everybody healthy and safe.
Well, I think that's a good way to end the show. Tomorrow is also my birthday, so wish me a happy birthday on Twitter.
Happy birthday tomorrow on Twitter.
It's also my daughter's 9-month birthday. I don't know how you phrase that, but she's 9 months tomorrow. So make sure to wish her happy 9 months. I don't know how that works. Okay, anyway. Join us next week. Mav Sports Day, we're going to be on episode 64 next week, bringing you some great insight into the sports world, business side of everything. Things that you hear about, things that you don't. We'll be live, same time, same place, 8:30 Eastern time, Tuesday night. Thank you all so much.